summertime. Summertime is here. Plantation is looking really great. This is our wildflower and wild grasses, Ontario grasses plot that I planted last May. Today is mid-July and midsummer. We're seeing some changes. Hey, good morning. How you doing? Bob Folks here for the Gilly Galoo. Just here in the Ottawa River, we're filling the finch feeders. We wanted to talk about late nesters, and we wanted to talk about early fall migrants. So we've got one of the niger tubes filled up because the goldfinches are returning. Noticed a change today. Yesterday I was out by wetlands that I frequent every so often, and I really noticed all the goldfinches clustering together. They're sort of finished their nesting period. They're one of the latest nesters, if not the latest nester. We better check that out here in Ontario. So mid-July, they've just been on the nest. In fact, some still might be nesting, so I'm expecting goldfinches and some purple finches perhaps, and house finches and things to start showing up. So we wanted to get the feeders filled up. So we were talking about these goldfinches stuff, late nesters. Why do they be late nesters? We talked about it in previous videos, and that they wait for the ripe seeds of plants and grasses and weeds and things, some bull thistle seeds and native grass seeds. I've shown you a little picture of our wild grasses area and stuff that we've planted. So one of the late nesters, which signifies another thing, migration. Yes, believe it or not, we're just here in middle July, but migration is upon us. So the sounds of spring have changed to early morning. Here we are in the Ottawa River. We're not hearing the same songs that we were hearing earlier on. We're not hearing the mating calls. We had a lot of American redstarts around us this year. We're not hearing those anymore. Red-eyed vireos here this morning still singing, but that's their MO. They never be quiet. But certainly not hearing the robins the same. Any of the other flycatchers, the great crested flycatcher, hearing him a bit, but he's pretty much diminished. One of my favorite birds, the great crested flycatcher, and they are an early arrival in the spring and an early departure in midsummer. So that's the part of migration that's starting. The flycatchers, common grackles, a lot of you be happy to hear that. Common grackles are going to start to cluster up. You're going to see them focusing in a large flock over top of hay fields and cornfields and those areas like that as they group together to start their migration. And as we continue into August, we're going to see a lot of those early early birds start to leave. So warblers, common grackles, flycatchers, all those types of birds, those early migrants that come here in the spring, that basically come here to Ontario, eat the bugs, have the babies, and they're gone. So that's going to start very, very, very soon, and is starting already, because we're hearing the quiet. So the fledglings have been out, they've had their babies, they've trained them, so they're starting to fend for themselves, and then they're going to start to migrate. So I'm going to finish filling these seed feeders. Keep an eye out your feeders. Get your finch feeders starting to filled up. Some of your other seed feeders and things, start to get them ready, because we're going to see some migrants. If you wanted to start to feed some mealworm, in our Vista Dome, it's an adjustable thing, and I can show you that in the stores. Mealworm's a great product to start feeding now, because if you get some transient warblers and some flycatchers coming through your yard, you're apt to see something you'll have never seen before, because they don't stop at seed feeders. They're bug eaters. So we have some dried mealworm that you can put in a container. It's a fantastic thing to use. I'm going to finish my job here. You have yourself a great day, and fill the feeders. We'll see you soon. So I wanted to talk about why we love these feeders. I mean, I know I've talked about these other feeders before, and here's why I don't like normal feeders. Look at that. See all that mold and stuff? Oh, this is the bottom of this particular feeder, where the bottom food port is. This is what happens at the bottom. It goes all moldy. I love this great big feeder. It can house about 20 different birds on different perches. But when this happens, it spoils the whole feeder full of food. Why I love these other guys? So you can see I've already got this guy filled up. took 2 minutes to do that. Took 2 minutes to kind of clean it out. But so I turn it upside down. Spring-loaded mechanism. Bridge in the center that forces the seed to the outside. Vented food ports here at the food port at the feeder. Snap it back into place, and you're up and running, and it doesn't spoil your whole food. Love those guys. But I wanted to talk about how this time of year with the early migrants, so the warblers for instance, you all know why we go away on our warbler wander in the spring. And the reason I love the warblers is that it really helps you heighten your birding skills at this time of year when the warblers are leaving. I'm going to show you a few things, in particularly the bay-breasted warbler in its breeding and non-breeding plumage. Two completely different birds, and it's one of the things I love about it. So you got to start to focus in on the things that we've talked about before. Shape of beak, wing bars, leg height, leg color, body shape. Where's that center of gravity? That's the one thing about warblers that we want to talk about a lot, is that when you start to identify silhouettes, and that's one of the first things you got to learn. Never mind what they look like, never mind what color they are, any of those things, start learning silhouettes, because you're always looking up with light behind you and all you see is the outline. You can't really see any color, you can't really see anything but shape. So you got to learn to identify shape. And with warblers, their center of gravity is right over their legs. It's right over their feet. So if you look at their sort of bulb-shaped bodies and look at that, it starts to say, you start to identify them by saying, warbler, by shape and by silhouette. Listen to Goldfinch, he's saying, get the heck out of the road here so I can get to that feeder, would you? Anyway, so start to learn those. But so the heightened awareness that we can have and being able to identify the warblers at this time of year when they're in their non-breeding plumage and they're leaving, heading back to South America, Mexico, all the places that they head, it gives us a great opportunity to heighten our skills and how to identify them a lot better. So silhouette shape is the first thing. Leg color, wing bars, beak shape, head shape, and their silhouette. So great time, and the bugs are bad. It's a great time to start to heighten your skills on birds leaving in their non-breeding plumage.